that everything was appropriate and that I wasn't crossing any lines about like how to address sobriety in the media. And that person said, yeah, there's no issues with it. But what I didn't see coming is that when we walked out of that little edit bay, having seen that footage, it was so counterintuitive. I had this intense craving, like this. I felt so much like I wanted to get loaded.
Yeah.
Which I say is counterintuitive because to present me with footage, it was like the most humiliating footage of me that exists.
That's interesting.
You would think that to see that would make me think, oh my God, like, thank God I'm sober. I don't want to ever be like that ever again. But it was totally the opposite. My experience was that when I saw the footage of the drugs themselves, that it like my synapses in my brain started firing. Like I could taste it.
Yeah, they know that path. Yeah.
I could taste it. I could smell it. Just planted me into that whole thing, and it was just like I was fired up, like craving drugs so much, and like to the point of how embarrassing the footage was. It's like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed by that. Like, let me get loaded to get my mind off of it, you know? Like, let me go right back to it. So it's just the insanity of the disease. And I determined from that point that I just had no business watching that.
Okay.
So
All right, that makes sense.
that documentary came out with me having, like, I didn't know what came out.
Yeah, it came out great though. It was a riveting documentary. I'll tell you that.
Well, thanks. I went on to watch it many years later, and it was just as bad as I thought it was.
I thought it was really.
I mean, it's
Yeah,
I was,
a real honest thing.
Sure.
From obviously your perspective, you were the guy. It's going to be a little different.
It's and I'm fine. I'm fine
Yeah.
with it now. But yeah, I don't really try to dwell too much.
Okay. So why are you here? Why do you want to touch on that?
It's just that this new tour that it's over the 9 years that I've been touring these comedy clubs, my worlds have kind of converged. You know, there was the first show I did, which was pure stand-up, and I would do some tricks at the end of the show. Then there was the second show I put together touring with, which would have been the last time I was here. And that one, I got so excited when it occurred to me that all of the stories I was telling throughout the act were largely things that happened on camera. So I thought, oh my God, what if I do this next comedy special where we film the stand-up but edit into, after the fact, cut in the footage to illustrate the stories.
Okay.
You know,
that's
it was
wild.
really exciting.
Yeah.
So I did that, and it went so great. And then I determined that for my new tour, that I don't want to be living in the past anymore. You know, I like going down memory lane. It's just kind of depressing to think, what am I going to spend the rest of my life like rehashing my glory days?
Right.
And so I thought, okay, well, here's how I want to approach it. I want to do like all new stuff, like create new stories, but what's left to do? We've done so much, and I just knew, like, and I call it my bucket list because I had these ideas that I've been sitting on forever, and they were never supposed to happen. Like, for example, skydiving came up over the years, you know, over the last 20 years. I always said the same thing. I said, like, everybody does that. I'm not wasting my time skydiving. Like, that's not a stunt. Everyone does it. For me to do it, I said, because the first time you have to have a dude strapped on your back.
Oh, no.
I'm going to be butt naked and furiously servicing myself.
Oh, my
such that when I passed the point of no return with a dude on my back, and it was, and
how'd that go? How can you even do that?
It's there's so many layers to it. To find the company that's willing to put their company logo on that, you know, to find the guy who's willing to be strapped on my back, to be able to you know, sorry for the pun, but to pull it off. In an airplane packed with dudes pointing cameras at me.
How about I don't know if you can do this, because one time we did a stunt, we had an intern, we had tandem jump, and the whole idea was after the chute was deployed for him to pee from like 2,000 feet up. And we had him drink a bunch of water beforehand.
You got pee shot.
He could not do it. He could. It's just peeing.
Right.
So you already did this?
Yeah, and I screamed. And here's the way that this show that I'm doing now works, and it's so exciting. You would think I got into stand-up to find a career with more longevity.
Yeah.
But like I did entirely the opposite. Now I'm like, okay, I'm in my 40s. This is like the first joke I say thanks for coming out to support me during this difficult time. You know, I'm in a real jam over here. I'm Steve-O in my 40s, and you know, it can only.
But
and I'm running out of time before it gets creepy to watch me do these things. So I decided I gotta hurry up and I gotta like go all out and really raise the bar. And the whole show is a journey through this absurd bucket list of jackass stunts.
Yeah, to imagine what a cast member, specifically you, would have in a bucket list is almost it's almost like you don't even want to go there.
It's I mean, rather than call it the bucket list, I could have called it the bottom of the barrel. After each bit in the show, I screen the footage of the events taking place, so it's fully multimedia. It plays like a Jackass movie premiere and a stand-up show.
That's awesome.
And then with the whole meet and greet with the whole audience after.
Are you still filming these, or have you done all?
I mean, for this show's locked. Yeah, this show's locked. There's 8 videos in the show, and they are all high level.
That's awesome.
I was wondering because you're in town a couple days early. I didn't know if you were going to try and knock one out while you were here.
I've been really active with all the digital stuff.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, following you on social media, you're always putting. So that's saying the Steve-O legacy is a 2.0, 3.0, wherever we're at. There's a whole bunch of new, engaging entertainment. You've reinvented yourself while keeping the core there, and it's very interesting, very engaging, always entertaining. So.
I appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
And coming here has always been such a treat, man.
Yeah.
It's I was really looking forward to it.
Oh, good. Well, I mean, what's funny is we have to wrap this interview up because we're literally going to interview a guy who wrote a biography about Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
All right.
That's the next.
I mean, I was fighting back the tears watching that documentary.
Oh, it's so good. So
I mean, I was poorly fighting back the tears, if I'm honest.
No, we were just talking about how great it is.
We got it. Every time you're here, we got to see your back tattoo.
Yeah, you got it, man.
I want to see that.
I got to do that trick for you.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, he's going to do a trick for us.
Yeah.
For those who may not know Steve-O and you're new to him, his entire back is himself. It's his face. I gotta hang on.
That is awesome.
Just the greatest.
Awesome.
Who's the autograph on the bottom? I forget.
Just the greatest.
The autograph is mine.
It says, yeah, dude, I rock. It says Steve-O.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
If there are any some tickets available,
Yeah, we added a show for Thursday.
Right.
I know it's Halloween, but I promise I won't let anybody down. This show is so explosive. I'm actually just gripped with fear about how I'm going to follow it up with the next iteration of my tour.
my guess is you'll do just fine.
I actually think so too.
You know, it's fun because we have top level comedians that come through regularly, and a lot of times they don't sell out. And your shows just, dude, people love you.
So you know what? I can't even express the gratitude that I have to be almost an entire decade removed from any like real mainstream commercial success. I mean, we haven't had a Jackass movie since 2010.
Yeah.
And when I started touring the comedy circuit and the comedy clubs, Jackass 3D was still in theaters, and people just didn't want to see Steve-O do stand-up.
Yeah.
I had a movie in theaters that was killing it in the box office, and I couldn't sell out the tiniest comedy club. And now, a decade removed from commercial success,
It's amazing.
I'm adding shows everywhere, and it's just because A, I care about what I'm doing in these comedy clubs, and
Well, people like
I'm going for
you
it.
give it your all. You're a good man. People like to support you. You do. You've always been very cool with us, and it's great to see you here doing so well.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you.
All right, some tickets left for Thursday night, heliumcomedy.com. It's Steve-O. Thank you.
That was awesome.
Steve-O, we're going to take a break. We'll come
That was
back
really
in just a
awesome
moment.
about
Yes,
sobriety
we'll have
and
author
stuff.
Gavin
I
Edwards
wish you
who
heard
wrote
the whole
Kindness
thing,
and Wonder
really.
Why Mr.
I
Rogers
recorded it for
Matters
you, baby.
more than ever.